You should probably pick up these cards now before you're forking over about twice the price. Hey guys, Otaku back with another Market Watch, and today we're going to be looking at cards that you should be picking up now because they're probably about to spike in price here real soon. So the EU WCQ has just ended, and Justice Hunters is coming out literally this week as of recording this video, which means we're moving into a brand new format, and Worlds is right around the corner. And as we're moving on into the brand new format, a lot of prices are skyrocketing, but there's a lot of things that are going down in price. And I also think that thanks to the fact that Konami has guaranteed there will not be a ban list before Worlds, there's a lot of cards I think we should be picking up now while they're still cheap. Before we do jump on into the Market Watch, though, I have noticed a great deal of you that are watching this video right now are not currently subscribed to the channel. So if you like competitive-based content, in-depth guides, and market watches, consider subscribing to the channel for more. But also, don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below what cards I should talk about in next week's Market Watch. And if you would like to further support the channel, consider joining my community Discord, following me over on Twitch, and using my TCG affiliate link and my Dueling Guard affiliate link. All links will be in the description down below. The first card I want to talk about is Kurikara Divine Incarnate. Now, by no means is this card cheap, but it's also like not as expensive as I think it can be. This is predominantly for my fellow Yummy players, but this can be played in just about any deck just because it's so generic. But we are kind of moving into a scenario where this actually would be really good. So for the context of the Yummy players, this is a level 1 monster, which means if we're playing a card like Where Art Thou, this is just searchable. Thanks to the fact that Vanquish Soul Canine will most likely be the best deck in the room, Kurikara Divine Incarnate actually gets a lot better because she tributes monsters that used their effects that turn, which means that the Vanquish Soul monsters that summon themselves from hand, that counts. They used their effect that turn, and they're on the field. So she can tribute those monsters, get those fuckers off the board so there's no further bouncing around. And on top of that, she's not affecting a card, which means she can tribute the Caesar Valius on top of that. And on top of that, it's kind of like a kaiju effect. It's not activated, which means she can tribute like the Ripper without the Ripper negating it in hand by any means. So Kurikara has 4 printings, 2 of which are incredibly high rarity, and the other 2 are secret rares, but one is from Power of the Elements, which is the original printing. One is from Terminal Revenge. She has an ultimate rare, and she has a Starlight rare from Power of the Elements. The cheapest option currently is going to be the Power of the Elements secret rare, sitting at about $15-16 a copy, but you can kind of see she's creeping up. She's already on the up and up, and she's down to 29 listings. This is getting bought out ever so slowly. Now is the time to buy this. Buy this card now. Would you rather be safe than sorry? Like, sure, maybe this doesn't pop off, but would you rather have it now and, you know that you've paid maybe half the price, or would you rather pay like $40 later down the road? Like, this has potential to just be a complete board wipe. And like I said, in Yummy, we can play Where Art Thou and just straight search this. Next is Gorgon of Zillophonia. This came out in Duad, and it, as you can see here, has been on the constant decline. I think this is just like, it's not its format. This is a card that was projected to be insane, like one of the new IP targets, when realistically the best IP target is still SP Little Knight, but this is still a very, very strong card. This card has alone won me a couple of games because it just says fuck you, essentially, but this is a very powerful card, and I think now's the time to buy it. Like $5-6, it could maybe still decrease down to like $3 or $4, but I think now is like a good time to buy it because I just genuinely think this is not this card's format. I think this is one of those cards that is very particular on what format it will be played in. Again, I just think this isn't this card's format right now, but this is one of those cards that has the potential to just be insane going forward. So I think if you're going to pick up this card, I think now would be the time to do it. All right, Draco Tail players, Secretarion Dragon. This is just a ultra rare nothing card from Duelist Advance, but this is a card you're gonna want, and now is the time to get it because it is an ultra rare, which means it has the potential to be like $10-ish. If Draco Tail actually pops off, which it's not projected to do so, but if it does, this is a card they play, and it's sitting at about $3 right now. Just pick it up, buy it now, because you might not be happy with what happens later down the road. Not to mention on top of that, this is just a super poly target to play against Dragon Tail or Draco Tail. So it's just a safe card to have if you don't have it already, because for all we know, super poly pops off like in 2 weeks. Who that card really chooses its formats. All right, you're looking to play against Yummy. and you're not looking forward to it, well, pick up Contact C. Cards like Raigeki or Dark Ruler just straight win the game against Yummy because all their monsters on board, and they can't like tag out because then all those monsters will be negated or destroyed. So like Yummy just can't properly play around those cards. But if you just want to stop them from establishing a board entirely, Contact C is not a guaranteed win, but it makes things awkward for them. For those who don't know what Contact C does, when your opponent normal special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's field and defense position. This card's controller cannot fusion, synchro, exceed, or link summon unless they use this card as material. So basically, they have to link this away before they can go into synchro monsters, which then means they have a link 2 on the board, not a link 1. So synchro material is difficult, but extending past it's weird. So a lot of Yummy players are playing stuff like Cross Sheep or like IP to play around this card hitting their board early. That being said, like I said, I just think playing like Dark Ruler or Raigeki in the sideboard is better. But if this is a card you do want to pick up, as you can see here, he is like kind of slowly, you know, making his way up and back down. This is kind of whatever card. He has 4 printings, all of which are commons minus the 1 from the OTS pack, which is a super rare. And this is the most expensive one, still sitting at like $2. So $6 for a playset, that's whatever. But you might as well just pick it up just in case this actually does pop off. We saw Retaliating Sea pop off at the beginning of the Azamina format, so really anything can happen with these C cards. Now, a card I think you should pick up is Chain Disappearance, and as you can see here, everyone's picking up. This card is getting bought out left and right for anything that is not a common. So for those who don't quite understand how this card works, let me real quick read off the effect, and then I can explain how it actually works against Yummy. So when a monster with 1,000 or less attack is summoned, banish that monster with 1,000 or less attack. Then your opponent banishes all cards with the same name as that card from their hand and deck. So the big thing here is the S that's in the middle of the parentheses. So when your opponent activates, Obedience School, summons out 3 Yummies of different names, all 3 of them, and then you flip Chain Disappearance, that banishes all 9 copies. That's game. Like, how the fuck they getting those fuckers back? They're not. So Chain Disappearance is the just FTK against Yummy, and it's a normal trap, which means you can set it off of Thrust, which means that this is going to be very popular. So like I said, there are, as you can see here, 8 printings of this card. There's still plenty of options, but the secret rare from Legendary Collection Kaiba is up to $5 to $6. The premium gold Return to the Bling is up to about $1. The super rare from Turbo Pack is at 11 listings remaining, and it's up to like $16. This card is getting bought out. This is something you should be looking into picking up if you are playing against Yummy, which you will be playing against Yummy in some manner. So just consider picking it up. Pick it up now. Realistically, again, it is a thrust target, so maybe just picking up 1 is fine, as long as you have like 2 to 3 thrusts. For my fellow Yummy players, I think you should consider looking at Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. So this is the Ancient Fairy Dragon support, and it came out with a bunch of other cards. I personally have been testing with it, and I know plenty of other Yummy players have been testing with it, because Yummy is projected to be one of the best decks in the format. Pure is being considered to be one of those scenarios. However, with like stuff like Mitsurugi Raizio on the format, Yummy can't play into Mitsurugi, which means subsidiary engines are being toyed with to maybe give the deck further extension if, say, their board gets nuked. And the Ancient Fairy Dragon support is one of those engines, because Regulus is a level 4 light beast monster, which means he can go into Snatchy after he uses his effect to search a spell or trap card that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon. And so Life Dragon is being looked at as part of a Ancient Fairy Dragon engine. On top of that, Ancient Fairy Dragon, of course, can just search the field spells without using Snatchy to get to them. So it's something to consider. This card is a quarter super rare from Aelin. I think this is something you should just look into picking up. I don't think this is going to get expensive, and there's a good chance that this engine doesn't even pop off in Yummy, but I think it is something worth looking at and even considering. Tri-Brigade, this also kind of applies to Yummy, but Tri-Brigade did just have support revealed. The new Link 2 is actually insane. The spell's okay, but the new Link 2 is crazy. And we already know that Fractal is going up in price because it is being played as a one-of in Lunalight, but Fractal further went up in price because he's now getting bought out because the Tri-Brigade support got revealed. But we're not talking about just Fractal. I want to talk about Tri-Brigade as a whole. I think you should be, if you don't already, I think you should be picking up Tri-Brigade as an engine. Tri-Brigade, as we know since its, inception and Tri-Brigade kit came out, this is a deck that has the potential to be splashed in a lot of random shit. This deck got play in Sprite. It's projected to maybe see like Rogue play in Yummy. This deck just has, is played in Leerlust. This deck core is something I think you should look into picking up. Tri-Brigade Fractal is obviously going to be your most expensive card now because the new support was revealed. But on top of that, even like Revol is going up in price. The QCR at least is going up in price. The QCR is up to about $5 a copy, which is still pretty cheap for a QCR, I think, especially since it's like a 1 or 2 of. But Shurig is getting bought out, or at least the secret rare is from Phantom Rage, because it is up to like $5. It's getting bought out. The ultra rare from the tins is at like $1 because it had more listings replenished. But the Starlight of Farragut is up to $81, which I think it was only at like $60, $70 a little while back before the support was revealed. But the Bucephalus Starlight is actually skyrocketing in price. This was like a $20 to $30 Starlight before the support was revealed, but the new support actually makes this a live card. So this has gone up in price to about, I believe, close to like $90. It's getting bought out. It's 4 listings left. Like I said, I think Tri-Brigade as a core is something that you should be looking into picking up. Maybe not for like this format. Like, it's probably not going to do amazing in Yummy. It is an option in Yummy, but I don't think it's going to be like the best version of Yummy by any means. But I think Tri-Brigade is one of those engines that will see play. It was even seeing play in Fire King when the new structure deck came out. So it is a splashable engine that I think will find its format really soon. Still on the topic of Yummy though, Gravity Collapse. This is by no means an expensive card. It has 2 rare printings and a common printing, but this could be penny stocks, and I think it's something that Yummy players should think about. This is a card I will be 100% side decking 3 of when I'm playing Yummy. But for those who don't know what this card does, activate by sending 1 face-up synchro monster you control to the graveyard. When your opponent summons a monster, negate that summon and destroy that card. Your opponent cannot summon monsters until the end of this turn. It's just an FTK. You end up activating this when your opponent summons a monster, and you just win the game. It is a when effect, so keep that in mind, but it literally just wins the game. Like I said, this is by no means an expensive card, but it could be penny stocks. The rare alone is up to 60, 80 cents, so I could see this card making it to about the $1, $2 mark, depending on the rarity and the set it's from, but there's 2 rares and a common, so it's not going to be crazy expensive, but I think you should, if you're playing Yummy, be looking into picking this card up. Gem Knights. I wasn't going to talk about this, and this is kind of one of the exceptions to today's video, where the whole theme of the Market Watch today is like, these are cards you should be picking up, but I did want to talk about this because I didn't want it to wait till next week's video. But Neshadal Genius is skyrocketing in price because it is getting bought out. This was like a $1 card 2 weeks ago, and now because Shadal Fusion, or like a Shadal package, is getting played in Gem Knight, but it's also possibly getting played in Draco Tail, Neshadal Genius is just jumping. This was like a $1 card. It's like $7, $8 now, and it's an ultra rare from Ghost from the Past, so 1 printing, and it like I said, it's skyrocketing in price. For those who don't know what this card does, I'm only going to read the sent to graveyard because that's the only effect that's applying here. But if this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can target 1 effect monster on the field. Players cannot activate the target's effects on the field this turn. The idea is like you're using this plus like Shadal Beast or whatever to make App Cologne. App Cologne target 1 card in the field and use this to target a monster on the field, and both are negated essentially for the rest of the turn. So it's seeing success. It really is. So in theme of the video, if you're looking to play Draco Tail, maybe this is something you should consider picking up along with a Shadal engine. And I already said in last week's video, like the Shadal Fusion QCR is jumping in price, so you should be looking to picking up a Shadal engine. Panker Tops. We're going to talk about the CR and the QCR. This does have a handful of printings, but has 2 high rarity printings, QCR and the CR. because this card is skyrocketing in price, at least in the QCR department, because this card is projected to be like really good against Yummy as a sideboard option, because it's a free summon when you're going second, but it also can swing over Herald and then pop a card on the opponent's field. But it just demands interaction, because the moment this hits the board, Yummy is going to have to respond to interrupt it. But on top of that, then you can, you know, tribute it and target one card on the field, and then that'll force further interaction. And because of that, the QCR, which might I add was from the Megatins and was only like $3 on release, is now ranging at about $10-11 a copy. Yeah, this tripled in like overnight almost. The OCG is really what was like kind of sparking this. Like, board breakers are a lot better against Yummy than hand traps. Hand traps are pretty ineffective against Yummy, whereas board breakers like Dark Ruler, Pankratops, Regeki, really good against Yummy because they have a hard time playing around that shit. But Pankratops is one of the choices that the OCG was playing, and a lot of people are projected to be playing this here in the TCG as well. As for the CR, we are also seeing some upward movement as well. This card is up to about $40 for the CR, and it's really getting bought out. It's down to 13 listings remaining. And this is probably because, depending on your definition of max rarity, this would be max rarity, seeing as it was the first premium rarity printed back in Ancient Guardians. And like I said, it's up there in price. Like, it's hard to find, honestly, anything below 50. Like, there's a couple listings right here, but once these are bought out, it's up to $80. Like, you can pick it up now if you want a high rarity Pankratops. One of the last few things we want to talk about here is going to be Archmage again. I was preaching this in the last video we talked about Archmage, but I think this is a core you should pick up now, because it is the lore archetype, which means, you know, looking at Branded, looking at Snake Eye, those decks kept getting better over the years. Even Vanadium, like Visa Starfrost, you know, even though that spurred like 3 different archetypes that had their own meta play. Branded was its own thing, like Tri-Brigade, obviously Sprite was its own thing. So this is a archetype I think that will get better over time because it is the lore archetype, but it will also spur other lore archetypes. Also, like Medius is going to probably see play in multiple different archetypes like Albaz kind of did. And as we talked about in the last video that we talked about Archmage, the money card is the Field Spell, which was at about $25 when we last talked about it. It's going down to $17. The hype for this deck is dying down, which means now is the time to pick it up. The prices are going down. Like, Finmal is down to $3. This was like $5, $6 when I bought it. So I've lost out on money because this is going down further. Alteration is down to $1. Diactorus is down to $2.50. Like, now is the time to pick these cards up. And even if you don't plan on playing Archmage, again, I do think that at some point these will skyrocket in price because, again, this is the lore deck. This is something that will progressively be getting support, that will progressively make it better as things go on. And I think that at some point this will go up in price. So even if you don't plan on playing this, like, pick it up now and make a profit later. And then the last thing I want to talk about is our good friends, the snakes, the Mitsurugis. So obviously for the longest time, you know, this is a pretty low rarity archetype, with the highest rarities being the Murakumo and the Ritual, both being ultra rares and QCRs. I don't really care about the QCRs, but like Murakumo's down to 50 and Ritual's down to 70. That's still not bad, but the ultra rare Murakumo was like $8-10 when we last talked about Mitsurugi. It's $3-4 now. The Ritual was 30. It's been halved in price. It's down to like 14. I just picked one up for 13 not that long ago. Like, this is an engine that I still think we'll see play. Mitsurugi is just, it's a very splashable engine. And on top of that, again, we're not getting a ban list until Worlds. And you're really only spending money on one Ritual if you're playing an engine, and one Murakumo if you're playing the engine. If you're playing the whole deck, then you're sinking a little bit more money into it. But even so, this is probably the cheapest the deck has been in a hot minute, and it will at the very least have like another month and a half of play. So might as well pick it up now. But it is a TCG exclusive archetype, so even if they do hit it on the next ban list, they're not going to kill it. And then just a quick little tidbit as well. This is also an engine that can be played into Yummy, kind of, because Yummy plays Herald of Arclight. So if they're really down bad to getting Habakiri to hand, they can make the Herald of Arclight, link it away, and the Herald can add Habakiri. That's if they're really down bad. I'm not saying that's the optimal play, but that is something they can do. All right, so real quick, I want to jam in 2 final cards here. I'm actually recording this bit here after the original video, as you can tell, different clothes and all that. But as I was editing, I was looking through the market because there were a couple cards I wanted to pick up because they were doing pretty well and showing promise for the upcoming format. And sure enough, I'm not the only one thinking this. The first card is going to be Shared Ride. This is like the opposite of Mistaken Arrest. So after this card resolves, each time your opponent adds a card from their deck or graveyard to their hand this turn, except by drawing it, you immediately draw one card. So it's like a pseudo maxi. The reason this is kind of good is because Vanquish Soul and Canine do a lot of adding. Like, you have the Rosin, you have the Mad Love, you have Rock adding back from the graveyard, you have Ripper who adds. Like, you'll get like 4 to 5 draws off this card alone. Sure enough, I'm not the only one who's thinking this. Both printings of the Secret Rares, one from Legacy of the Valiant and the other one is from the 2014 Megatins, they're getting bought up. There's still a gold rare, there's a regular rare, and a common, but the secret rares are getting bought up. We're seeing 18 listings from the Legacy of the Valiant and 16 from the 2014 Megatins. This is a card that you probably want to pick up just in case. I think in the upcoming format, there's an argument for both Shared Ride and Mistaken Arrest, depending on what you're playing against. But I think it's really going to be up to personal choice and also just what the rest of the format's looking like in terms of the meta decks. Because obviously, you're still going to probably want to Mistaken Arrest your opponent if they're playing Mitsurugi rather than hit them with Shared Ride. Because no amount of cards is going to break a Mitsurugi board. But this is a card you should heavily consider picking up. And then the last card we want to talk about is Grisaille Prison. I'm probably slaughtering that. This is a card that is starting to get bought. I noticed this last night, but the super rare from Fusion Enforcers, this was at about 130 copies when I noticed this last night. It's already down to 96. The super rare, it does have a rare printing from Shadow Specters, which is dirt cheap, but the super rare is, as you can see, spiking in price. This was seeing play at the EU WCQ in some sideboards. It is a thrust target, so, you know, easy to set, and yeah, it's going up in price. It was pretty cheap, but I mean, as you see here, it's still pretty cheap, like 50 cents a copy, and realistically, since it's a thrust target, you only pick up one. But like I said, it is kind of picking up play for those who don't know what this does. If you control a face-up monster that was Tribute, Ritual, or Fusion summoned, until the end of your opponent's next turn, neither player can Synchro or Xyz summon, and Synchro and Xyz monsters cannot attack. Also, their effects are negated. So, like, this is just like a 2-turn negate and lack of summoning for your opponent if they are playing Synchro monsters or Xyz monsters, aka Yummy, Ryzeal, Canine, Vanquish Soul, kind of. Like, this is a very, like, hard stop to that, and this is going to probably see play in, like, Draco Tail and Mitsurugi builds, because Ritual and Fusion Summon monsters are not affected by this. In fact, they are a requirement for it. This is a card I think you should look into picking at least one copy up. It is only like 30, 40, 50 cents, but something you should consider. And that's going to be it for today's Market Watch. Again, this was more of a pick things up now while you still can, because the market isn't moving a whole lot as we go into the World season. We're seeing a lot of things like go down in price because a lot of people are scared about the ban list that we will get after Worlds. But also on top of that, we're a little unsure of what the format's going to look like, because the format we're getting is not something the OCG had. You know, Ryzeal and Malice were kind of like already out the door at this point. Mitsurugi didn't exist in the OCG. So, you know, we're trying to figure out where Yummy and Draco Tail are going to fit, whereas, you know, Canine, Vanquish Soul, we already know where that's going to be. That's going to be the best deck in the room. But other than that, we're trying to feel out where everything's going to be. But I am curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, so definitely let me know what cards I should be talking about in next week's Market Watch. But also, definitely leave a like on this video. And if you're not already and you like competitive-based content, consider subscribing to the channel for more. But with that, I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.